is your inspiration from food coming from?
Mom.
Okay. So, what's your earliest memory of food and mom?
So she used to teach these orphanage where the orphans would be married off by the nuns who were running the
Yeah.
and so she would go to the orphanage and teach these kids skills to prepare them for marriage. So she would teach them housekeeping, she would teach them tailoring, crochet, food. And I was really small and I would go along with her and sit on the table like this while she is taking classes. And I got very fascinated. And I think at some stage after she taught something to the class, I would come back and tell mom, I want to make what you taught today. Also would help me.
Okay.
I think I was 4.
So, that's as early as when you started cooking.
Yeah. We used to play with toys, right? We used to play with dolls and stuff like that. I played with kitchen. I made food and served my dad and served. So basically, I played with the kitchen. So I think it was predestined even before my birth what I would eventually end up doing, because it was not dolls that fascinated me. It was more of service. And yeah, I always love to serve people, especially in restaurants. So I'm always very fascinated by the Western world and how the restaurant runs. This is what I wanted.
So, how did you decide that you would have what you call opening your home kitchen into, a service base?
See, today we have all this cloud kitchen and Swiggy and Zomato and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I did this in 98.
What?
Yeah.
Meaning
I had a cloud kitchen at home from 98. I would make
in Chennai.
in Chennai in Arepuram. I would make food and deliver to people, deliver to companies. I have done lunches for companies. I have delivered food. Some of my most popular food that I used to deliver or people pick up from my home, they'll send their driver, was my crab curry or my squid curry, my cutlets. So all this cloud kitchen and Zomato and all came now.
But you have
I've been doing it in 98. It's a concept I started doing in 98.
how did you manage to handle, that entire process? You'd have had to have staff.
I had 2 people helping me in my house. I thought one of my maid was excellent cook. She caught up with everything I taught her. And Saturday, Sunday was free days. And it evolved very organically. Like one day a big group of friends came home to eat and I had made this lovely crab curry and squid curry. And the next Sunday, one of the family members, Saturday, they called me up and said, hey Liz, tomorrow we have a get together for 25 people and we were wondering if you can make the crab curry for us, we'll pay you. So it organically started. So anything that organically starts is very beautiful and pleasurable. And then I started serving it to a company on MRC Nagar.
Okay.
And then one went to two went to three. And whenever the company had a big get together or a meeting in the office, they would tell me like 20 people we need lunch, so we had all our boxes and everything, and I hired one more person for Saturday and Sunday, and then we would go set up the buffet, finish their lunch, and then bring it back. I always like to do any kind of a business or anything at my own pace. So when I was doing all this, a lot of people say we should start a cafe in Chennai, you'll be a very successful cafe. I wasn't willing to do anything in Chennai because it gets very commercial. Once you start and you can't curb it to this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because initially you will say, no, I will stop customers from coming. But when then the cafe becomes busy, it's very difficult as an owner or a chef to say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not doing it today. Then you lost the purpose. I didn't want to start anything in Chennai. So I went into corporate world back again, but on Saturday and Sunday I would do this. I was very happy doing that in Chennai. And then I was working for Blue Dart Aviation, and
So you hung up your boots of being a chef in between.
No, I was doing Saturday, Sunday and catering. And I was working in Blue Dart.
Wow.
Then suddenly one day, somebody said, let's go for a beer to Mahabs. Came to Mahabs and I saw some people surfing. So I said, I want to try surfing. So called up the surf instructor and he said, come, let's go surfing. I went, I did my first 2 classes, and that Monday morning, I went back to office and decided that I'm going to quit.
And move here.
Yeah, and move here. But the quitting Blue Dart was not so easy. They did not let me go. So then what I did is I tried to get the feel of this town. So I would come on a Friday, go back to office on a Monday. That went on for about 2 years. Somewhere in between the 2 years, I fell in love with this town and its people. So I picked up a small apartment. So I was running 2 apartments, one in Chennai and one in Mahabs. And then eventually after 2 years, I said, I can't do corporate life anymore. I love this slow pace, downsizing. Mainly it was to downsize, because I felt like in a city we earn money and we finish it by the 25th of every month.
I agree.
Because of the expectations that the city puts on you, like your travel, your rent, your electricity, your maintenance, or your lifestyle. And it didn't make any sense to me, after working so hard, you didn't have any money for yourself to put aside or save or anything.
Quitting your job and deciding to do something like this. Yes, it's an adventure, it's exciting and all that. But how do you think that it was relevant to reinventing yourself? Like this was the point where you definitely reinvented yourself from your previous life, because you've also been cooking, having a cloud kitchen before. But this is a very you thing, right?
I evolved over several years into minimalistic lifestyle. So for me, when I found this place and I felt like I'm going to move here and this is going to help me, I realized this is what that intention that I had to minimalize could come into a reality here. That's how much I evolved in those 2 years of living here. And I had a tiny little apartment and it was so cozy and beautiful that I just didn't want anything else. And then when you connect with nature in a sport like surfing, I think mentally we all surfers become that, we don't want anything but a t-shirt, a surf short, a surfboard and water. We don't fancy anything else. Of course, if we can travel, we would love that. But if we have the ocean and we're surfing, everything else becomes secondary. Like if somebody is to call me in Chennai saying, "Hey Liz, there's a nice party happening. We're all meeting. Do you want to come?" And if the surfers are telling me today is a great wave day, this is what I will choose. So I started to prioritize going close to nature, connecting with nature more than showing your face at parties and pretending and fake smiling. And that was not me. It's an evolution that happens on a personal level. I don't think so. You can follow my lifestyle or you can copy what I do. That evolution has to happen personally inside.
Do you believe that your business model, which is Ellie's Kitchen, is unique to you alone? Do you think that you'll never be able to extricate what is your personal evolution from the concept of Ellie's Kitchen? Like, let's say tomorrow somebody says, okay, we really like your concept. Let's make this bigger, little bigger, and try and evolve this kind of a home style. So, do you think that this is very uniquely Liz and it will stay with Liz? And this is
I've got several offers. Can you come to Pondi? We'll give you this much money. We'll do this for you. Can you come to Goa? This concept in Goa would be very well. And none of that is going to work because one of the main reason that I am in this industry or I am in this cafe business is because I want to cook more than I want to feed my customers. I want to cook. And because there is this yearning to cook and desire to cook on a large scale, if I can get people to eat it, I will make some money out of it so I can cook more. So if I have to go to Bombay, if I have to go to Bangalore, if I have to go to Pondi, I have to clone myself to get the same result as this. Most of the things that I do in the cafe is based on what is the best fish that I got today, what is the organic vegetables I got today, what is my mood to cook today. Now, I can't replicate that in a chef.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
So that,
can only replicate what he feels in his soul. I can only replicate what I feel in my soul. So I can't change this concept. I can't enlarge this concept no matter how much money I get.
even though anyone can cook, I think not everyone can cook exactly the way Liz cooks
Yeah,
in Ellie's kitchen.
everyone can cook, guys. I think everyone can cook. But everyone may not become a chef. You may not have fans following for your food. For that, you need the kind of mad fire in the belly passion like I have. And for me, it's not business. It's not like, oh, let's start another one in Pondicherry and we'll teach them something and they'll do something. No. For me, I have to taste every dish. And if I don't feel, oh my God, this is so wow, it will not come to your table. I have to feel it like this was so good. I need my guest to have this.
So when does Liz take time off? I mean, everybody needs time off.
I do get quite a bit of time off. I have it's a tourist destination. So we have people coming in only Saturday, Sunday, maybe Friday. So we get a lot of time off from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But we divide that time like from the morning to afternoon. We are always working in our own garden upstairs, or we have another garden close by. We're working in the garden, we're cleaning the cafe, we're painting if we need to paint, we're preparing what we need to prepare. So during that afternoon, we take off, and that's my time off. But I also take a massive time off, which is April and May. I kind of close the cafe, or Abdul will run it, my assistant, and I take off. So that's time off. But when you're living in a tourist town and you are regulating your business according to your availability, I think I'm living a tourist every day, no? True. Like if I'm tired, like for example, when the surf season starts, our cafe timings will change everywhere on the internet. It's from 12 to 12:30 to 3, and then 7:30 to 11:30, 11, because from 3 to 7, the cook has gone surfing. So, so we put a small board out there, gone surfing.
What are your top 5 dishes that people keep coming and asking on repeat?
Prawn fry chatichor, beef cutlet, pork ribs,
Wow.
yeah, appam and chicken stew, egg curry and paratha.
But I remember the unique dessert from last time. And you've got to tell us a little bit of how you came up with that concept, because I've never seen anyone put an ice cream and make it a burger ice cream.
So I saw something like this in Barcelona. I saw someone do these massive bread with ice cream stuffed inside. So I just need like a tip of an idea to mold it to my own style. So then I did a lot of research on what kind of ice cream, what kind of bread, what goes inside. And then one day, boom. So yeah, every dish is like that, like prawn fry chatichor, for example. So I would sit down and do trial and error of different masalas that people were using. One fine day, I decided I'm going to take out a lot of the masala that people are using and simplify it, and voila, I bestseller.
I mean, we tried so many things today, and this the kappa and the main curry is like comfort food. But this is like beyond comfort food, it's like gastronomic comfort food. So there's not one dish that you can say. There's not, you can feel the love for doing, what you're doing through your food. And that's, I think, really a unique story, because in times where everyone's looking to start something simply with the idea, okay, we start here, but we want to go commercial. Here is you going the other way and doing, I would say, pretty well for herself. Thank you. And that, I think, is a testament to authenticity. You never lose sight of who you are in what you do. And yeah, so I think
I've got a lot of influence from my travel as well to get this concept and believe in this concept. It was in one of my travels. I went to this island called Okinawa in Japan. I read on this particular lady runs her own cafe by herself, and it took me 3 hours to find her cafe. And once I found her cafe, it was the most amazing, cute, beautiful cafe. She's the cook, she's the wash, she's the accounts, she's the marketing. One woman show. And I sat down and spoke to her and said, do you get a lot of customers? And they said, I don't need a lot of customers because I don't have too many staff. And so I would say, what do you do in your free time? And she was a potter. She said, I'm a potter, so you can see all the pottery around me, and this is my pottery work. And when a customer comes, I like to serve them. Other times, I like to do pottery. And that is one of my prime inspiration to keep it small and create this art studio where I do the art and then I serve food. So when there is no business, I do my art. So it kind of balances your financial lifestyle and your personal calm in your soul or whatever, because art is very meditative. So it kind of keeps you kind of keep that balance and grounded. So my idea, the whole concept of this is very, very highly influenced by that lady in Okinawa. How wonderful is that lifestyle?
I think that's what is addictive, and I think that's why people come back. It's the experience, it's not really the food alone or the ambience alone, it's the experience. You can't pull one out of the other, and it's all just well knit.
I'm in this business to meet people, so why would I not sit down and talk to you?
Well,
And I love to talk to people. I love to hear stories. I love to hear their lifestyle. And I feel sometimes instead of me traveling to another country to understand culture and interact with people, see, this is the way I find it so pleasing that people come to me and I get to interact with them and understand their culture. So I think this works very well for me. It may not work for you. It works brilliantly for me.
what is your actual advice to women, irrespective of the age group? And there are a lot of people today who have talent, they have ability, and then they have qualifications. But beyond all that, what would be your advice? Would you say go with your gut, go with your heart, or do what makes your life easiest? What would you
One of the things I find in India, mainly with women, oh, I'm too old for this. Stop it. Just stop it. Nobody is old for anything. And let me say, when you say I'm too old for this, you're just lying to yourself because you don't want to take that extra effort to make things happen. So you put it on your age saying, I'm too old for this. Stop doing that to yourself. I'm too old for this. No, nobody is old. Some of the best businesses that came up in the world are started by women after 55. So just say you're too lazy. Don't say you're too old. And let me also tell you, working alone in a business, doing it all by yourself, stop this victim mentality and just take charge of your life. I will do it.
Yep.
This is what I want and I have to do it. And Again, there's another thing, oh, if I had somebody to help me, I would do better, you know. I have been painting my entire cafe because the painters are useless. It just takes a brush, dip it in a pot, and paint. Put on some music, put on some nice book to read on, just paint. Why do you need to wait for a painter? And this is how most of us surfers live. Most of the surfers who live here are carpenters, are painters, are plumbers. Because we live in a village like this and we don't have good professionals. So we are very unhappy with the work they do. So we learn it ourselves. Trust me, guys, running this cafe is not easy at all. At every stage of the cafe, there is something that I feel like, oh my God, can I just drop everything and run? And that feeling of can I just drop everything and run is for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I'm like, food industry me. I'm going to fight this guy. I'm going to fight for myself. I'm going to fight for this cafe. I couldn't have survived for 10 years in a very competitive world like food business if I wasn't persistent enough and believed enough that I will make it successful.
Thank you for being our showstopper for Women's Day tonight. Because truly, I think of stories that are out there. Yours is very, very inspiring. And it's absolutely homegrown, you know. You don't have to look far and wide. You want inspiration, it's right here. Come and get it.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.